Hey folks, haven't made a video in a while. Had to take a little time off from working on the car because it was driving me insane. And the weather was straight up crap up here in northern New York. It was just raining every day. Like, you'd think it'd be okay, and then it would rain. And then it'd be better, and then it would rain. I was like, we're not in Florida. And it was cold too, so shittiest August I've seen in a long time. Anyway, I took some time off because I was going crazy doing all the timing testing on this and stuff. And I finally did change the oil, as you can see. And I'm actually pretty impressed with the that Driven HR6 I put in it. It's quieter, for sure, than the break-in oil. Back to put another Wix filter on it. This one is one of the, I think the XPs for the synthetic, like a 51 XP, roughly, I think the number is. Hold on. I knew I wanted that for a reason. Yep, that's the one I put in for the synthetic. I'm really impressed with the Wix filters. I cut it apart because I have a filter cutter over there, and those things are really heavy duty inside, very sturdy, and it did quite a bit filtering out quite a lot of fine particulate I found in it. Nothing that would scare me, but definitely stuff from break-in. And I actually think that the first time I ran this engine, I went straight to the Penn Grade 1 semi-synthetic. I actually used 1040 and 1030. 1030 was a little too light, and I didn't like the oil pressure, so I went to 1030. I don't think that stuff allowed the engine to really break in, because I think now, after I ran this broken break-in on the engine stand and then drove it some, it seems to not have as much blow-by. As well, I have the PCV hooked up, but even without that, the blow-by seem better. So I don't know. I definitely think there's advantages to be had in using break-in oil for at least a couple hours of drive time, because it definitely seems to be sealing up better. But anyway, my main problem is the timing. And what I think I'm going to end up doing, I think I finally narrowed this down to, I have to mechanically limit the vacuum advance arm, because this gives 20 full degrees, okay? Oh, I got to sneeze here. I'm going to interrupt my video. Oh, man, that hurt. Oh, allergy season up here now. Sorry about that. So anyway, I got to limit this because it gives me a whole 20 degrees. And the way this works is, as you tighten up the preload, which would be this way, this way. This one works this way to take away and add preload. You can see by my little arrow in minus. The problem is that delays the onset as well as takes off total. And I can't have the delay of the onset. So I need it to come in quick around idle vacuum, like under 10, like at about 6. I need that early onset. So I have to mechanically limit and not use the screw down arm. Because I noticed as I would add preload, it would just be shitty and not give me enough. So I just slowly, allowed it to have more timing until it gave me the 42 degrees that this engine seems to really like at idle. Now, if it's hot, okay, hold on, before I go there. No, I've been doing experimenting. I experimented only having 40. Let's use the term grand total, okay, because you have total timing, like initial plus mechanical gives you a total timing of, let's say, 32, 35, whatever you want to set it at. But then you can add vacuum advance upon that. So I'm going to use the term grand total timing for when the vacuum advance is on. I limited this guy by only giving it a very couple degrees of mechanical advance to limit the grand total to 45. And it didn't mind. It drove around okay, but it wasn't as nice as what am I trying to say? It wasn't as nice as giving it around 50 on the highway. So I tried that experiment to see how it worked. I just got back from trying to see how it ran at 24 initial and 35 mechanical total with no vacuum advance, and it was pretty good when it was hot. It doesn't like 24 degrees when it's cold. It wants more. But the engine was hot, so I was able to drive around and it be okay. You lose vacuum at stoplights. It's not as good. You can smell the car more. It likes more initial timing, but I wanted to test that mechanical total of 35 and how much fuel I could feed it. So I learned that that's close. I actually might cut it down to 32 or 30, because I know at 32 it shouldn't be any spark knot going on. If there is, it's fuel problem. But I also noticed I got to finally take a quick peek over when I had some room to get into it pretty good till the secondary started opening, and I could see my air fuel coming up too high. That was like above 14.5. And at that rate of throttle, I want it quite a bit lower. So I'm going to have to upjet the mains and the secondaries on this. I prefer to do it in square. I'll go to 82, 82, 82. And I don't like opening up the secondaries and having, going from an 80 to an 85, because then you're only going to feed some cylinders the 85 mix, and other cylinders are going to get the 80 mix, and that's not a good way to do it. You want to, I especially on a dual plane, want to do it square. So that could be some of the issue with rattle when I get up higher, because man, when your car is powerful, it's hard to look at an air fuel gauge when you're getting into it. So that could help me. And so what I think I'm going to try to do, back to timing here, is keep this about, I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to try to limit that mechanic or vacuum advance to 10 degrees. That way, it won't be overdone. I should have written this down and tried to explain it, but the 20 degrees vacuum advance it gives me is too much, for sure. And it doesn't say you mash it and there's no vacuum advance. It takes a split second for that vacuum advance to come on and off. And if you back out of it quick, it'll come back, and then you get back into it a bit, it'll make stuff rattle. And I've had some detonation rattle, and that's just not good. But I think we're slowly narrowing it down, because it withstood the only mechanical at 35 pretty well. I think a little bit lower might be better, though. Safer, at least. And the upjetting. Testing this stuff is... It's what do you want to call it? It's kind of nerve-wracking. You got to go through a lot of testing to get this shit right. So that's where I'm at anyway. Kind of a long video for just explaining that, but... I definitely don't want to get away from the vacuum advance, though, because it helps the car a lot. It helps it start, helps it run, especially with no choke. Helps it at, it just idles so nicely at 42 degrees, and it cruises with more timing so good. Keeps it clean, keeps it not stinky. You just gotta take time to work it and understand what's happening. And I think that's what's going to be the key. Now, the recipe for that could very well be to up my initial to what was it, about 32, and use a start retard with 10. I have start retard in this car, but it's at 5 degrees increments, so I could start retard at 10 degrees and be at my starting sweet spot of 22 degrees, and then it'll idle with an initial of 32. If I only have 10 degrees vacuum advance, that'll pull on instantly and give me the 42 the car likes to idle. Now with another mechanical, boy, that'd be almost locked out at that point, wouldn't it? So with a little better air fuel mixture, maybe I could get to 35, so I'd have a couple degrees mechanical in there. I don't know. You don't want to go over 35 with Indy heads anyway, because they're more efficient. But those numbers are where I'm at. So it's getting closer. This whole system is a little rattly though, so sometimes with the solid mounts, it makes the car itself shake and vibrate a little bit when you're into it heavy. So it's kind of hard to discern what's rattle, as well as the mechanical valve train. So I'll hear some stuff and I'll back out of it and be like, oh, don't want to hurt something, you know, which is always better to do than not. So, excuse me. Anyway, that's where I'm at. And hope you guys are having a good time. Later.